Welcome to How to Survive with Danielle and Christine, the show that teaches you how to survive the stuff that can kill you.
Like being buried alive, or getting run over by a tractor, or excessive blood loss.
Oof. And the stuff that just makes you wish you were dead.
Like getting demoted in pickleball, or realizing your zipper's down, or getting kicked out of college.
Man, I don't want any of that to happen to me.
No, certainly not at the same time.
Should we just play the song?
I guess so.
Ground is shaking under our feet, mountains on fire, flooding in the street. Can't breathe the air, can't fight the feeling. Gobbling down Xanax ain't the way to be dealing. Gotta do better than just getting high. We gotta stick together if we're gonna survive. Ooh, how to survive. Ooh, how to survive.
Welcome to How to Survive with Danielle and Christine. I am Danielle.
I'm Christine.
Christine, we have big news. That a fan of ours, well, or a listener, I should say, I don't want to be presumptuous.
I would hope they're fans if they're listening.
Alerted us to, and now I'm trying to find it on my Twitter to see who it was. But in any case, we were alerted this week that not only is Real Housewives of New York coming back, I was wondering, because it is the only Real Housewives I watch.
Big shakeup.
Not only it seems like the entire cast has been fired.
They're replacing everyone.
No more Luann DeSeps. No more that lawyer lady who was awesome.
The Countess is gone.
The Countess is gone. The crazy, anyway, there's a new...
Ramona, Bethany.
Ramon. Well, Bethany's been gone.
I don't know anything.
She comes and goes.
I only know 2009.
I know. Well, when we worked on The Dish... We watched it.
Yeah.
Like we had to watch these shows.
I've seen it.
And I somehow kept watching it. Not constantly. I went back and forth, but...
not unlike many people in the world.
Yeah. So, and I don't pretend to be above anyone. Like, I used to hide it from my family. Now they know I watch it. But
There's no shame.
My favorite thing is just those opening sentences that, Luann's was like, I don't bother with the lower level or something. It was so awkwardly. I was like, no one could have punched that up for her. I stick to the high class. And
that was what they wrote for her.
But anyhow, the big news is that our hero, Jenna Lyons, is joining the cast.
I am dressed in honor of early J. Crew Jenna Lyons.
When she was their director?
The director of their...
Okay, so you're wearing
design.
a J. Crew shirt
I'm wearing
today.
J. Crew with
very
the
cute.
necklace over.
Yeah.
A big bobble, because that was very early aughts J. Crew.
Okay.
And when Jenna was still at the helm.
I just can't believe she's doing it.
We're all stunned.
In a long list of Real Housewives, she's not a wife.
Nope, she was.
Oh, she was married at one point?
She was.
Oh, she was married to a woman, right?
Well, no, she was married to a man.
Oh, she has a kid.
They have a son, and then they divorced, and then now she's with women. I can't wait for all of those other housewives to fall in love with her.
I don't know. I think they're going to find her super weird with her no bras and stuff.
But she's so stylish. I think what's interesting is their idea of style is going to be so different.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're very I don't know, Kitson, Juicy Couture. Am I naming things?
No, those don't exist anymore. But
things like that, right?
Well, it's New York, so they're actually not as
stylish.
Cheesy.
But
well, sometimes.
Or is it like
it's
standard Chanel?
I don't know if they're even into Chanel. It's more like, it's not bandage dresses because no one wears bandage dresses anymore. But it's a lot of boob, just a lot of boob hanging out. This is the old cast I'm talking about.
We don't know what these new women.
I haven't done a deep dive. I'm just excited because now I'm going to make Christine watch it with me.
Oh, I'm going to watch.
So I'm very excited because it doesn't have to be my dirty little secret anymore. Now I can share it with you.
It'll be our dirty little secret.
Garen, you okay? You're getting teary-eyed over this discussion?
It really it touches my heart.
You got something in your eye?
Over this. Yeah, something just flew my eye. But I did see them announce the new cast.
Yeah.
So I saw them come on stage. And there was one woman who came out.
They had...
It was at BravoCon, which is
what?
a thing.
What is BravoCon?
How do we go?
Okay,
It's
I
a
guess I get what it
convention
is.
for all the Real Housewives fun.
You're like, explain. Never mind.
Is it also below deck and all that shit?
I don't know.
Was it televised? Or were you invited?
No, it was. I just saw a clip on TikTok or somewhere. I don't know. Maybe it was just an article I saw, but I saw them come out, and then one woman came out, big old glasses, a blazer and jeans or something. And I'm like, why is she? Is she a producer? Why is she?
She looked too
with
cool.
The rest of these? Yes.
Yeah, Jenna Lyne.
Yeah.
Yeah. The rest of them were all like, I don't even know how to describe them. Like
Sequins.
Real Housewives.
Yes.
And then she goes. Like, who is this person? It has to be who you're talking about.
Yeah, it's Jenna Lyne.
Because I just looked her up.
I can't imagine what her motivation is for it except money. No, I get
money. I mean, I think they're going to, I don't know if they vote people off the island on Real Housewives, but I feel
a
like
sense.
they're all going to be like, we got to get her out of here.
Well, I mean,
Or there's going to be a love story with her and one of the wives.
oh, they will. Well, I don't know if they do.
Salacious.
Because she's lesbian. She's sexy lesbian.
I don't know. They've never had a I mean, they act like they do that, like we're lesbianic for men's pleasure sort of joking.
Oh, like,
sometimes.
we're drunk and we're going to kiss.
Yeah.
Like
but I don't know if
college girls.
Yeah, I don't know if they actually do that, but they kind of play to it. Like
Okay.
they grind on each other and stuff.
Oh,
this is the
gross.
old cast I'm
Yes.
talking about.
We don't know.
They're
the
all
cast.
alcoholics, by the way, so that might be part of it. Like,
Yes.
to a person, they're all alcoholics.
That's a requirement.
except for the lawyer. I don't think she was
to
an
be
alcoholic.
cast on the show.
But anyway, I'm sorry I can't remember the lawyer's name, but she was New Edition, and her job was basically just to berate the one you just mentioned with the big eyes.
Bethany.
No,
Ramona.
Ramona.
Yeah.
And she would talk about like you got to vote, and Ramona would go. Dee, 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 dee. She'd like put her fingers in her ears and like walk around. It was so embarrassing that an adult person, because she's a Trumper and she didn't want to admit it. So
Ramona.
yeah, she like hung out with.
Oh, I think I read a little of this when I was reading
yeah.
about Jenna, because they said there was so much contention between two of the cast members that they wouldn't get together for a reunion even.
Oh,
but
that's why I was denied a reunion.
you were denied. But there might be something called Housewives Legacy Edition, which means they'll bring back some cast members for another show. Like you might still get your original cast in a show called Legacy.
Okay, I mean I'm fine saying goodbye to them,
But they're not fine saying goodbye to you,
Yeah.
Danielle. Another piece of pop culture news.
Yes.
In our pop culture segment, you've all been delighted to attend. Is anyone else besides me watching The Watcher?
I just started it.
Garen just told me to watch it. I know you told me to watch it too.
Every episode gets more insane. It's
I'm gonna start watching.
okay, Garen. Tell me if I'm using this correctly. It's camp.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's Ryan Murphy.
It's Ryan Murphy. Who's,
I am really enjoying making fun of it.
oh, so okay, because when you originally told me about it, I thought you were saying it was a great show.
I thought that on the first episode.
Okay.
Like the first episode,
Okay.
I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be creepy. And it's going to be like the New York Magazine. It was a New York Magazine, some Vulture New York Magazine property. And then it really goes off the rails. Like it really goes off the rails.
I'm 2 in, I think.
It doesn't take long. I mean,
Oh, no. There was that. I don't want to.
let me just say, Margot
turns quick.
Martindale from The Americans is
I
in it.
love her. I
She's
know. I'm
fabulous.
excited.
She's chewing up the scenery left and right.
Great.
Mia Farrow.
Oh.
She was born for this role. I mean, she was like,
Really?
She was like, she had to go through that Frank Sinatra marriage, that Woody Allen thing,
shit just to play this role.
get aged to this level. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I
Yeah.
mean in the most positive way possible
Okay.
for her to embody this
Oh,
character.
I'm so excited.
It is.
but it's based on a true story. But it's
it's-
paranormal.
It's based on a true story, yes. Don't read the article on the house
won't.
yet. And I mean, it's so much beige.
So much beige.
Wait until you see.
What does that mean? Oh,
It's-
is that a euphemism for something?
No, it's not.
Oh.
It's just the clothes. And I mean, I don't want to give too much away.
I thought that was
this
something.
couple. and of course, Jennifer Coolidge
Oh, okay.
is in it. And
Wait, so there's a lot of chewing of scenery between the two of them.
so many things are happening. We're going to talk about it a
All
lot.
right, I'll watch it. I'm sorry, I'll catch up.
You'll catch up.
I
'cause
just
you're gonna-
finished the Bad Sisters, so.
Okay.
All right, are we ready to? I know it's an awkward transition, but are we ready to get into today's subject, or did you have others? Did your kids lose a foot or anything? I need to know
No,
about.
no foots have been lost.
Okay, good. How's the series coming along?
I don't know if there's been much work on the series lately, but I do have to give a shout out to Alex because the movie poster, Oh Hell No, Oh Hail No.
Yeah.
She did quite a bit of work on that with me.
She did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's fabulous.
She did a lot of the photoshopping. She was
You're kidding.
because I was originally like, I'm going to take a guy with overalls and put The Rock's head on it. And she was like, Mom, just find a picture of The Rock with overalls. And then
it's that easy?
And she knew how to take a big piece of hail and put it in his arm. And so she was like, move aside, Mom.
Oh, that's great.
So
it's really good.
She had a really good time working on that.
Can't wait for the premiere.
I know. Okay, and then Jimmy did tell me that every weather movie does have hail in it. But I don't think it's the focus.
No, it's
I
not.
don't think there's hail-centric movie out yet.
I don't think there is.
Yeah, okay.
Not that I know of.
Okay, are you ready to learn how to survive blood loss?
I think in my house, this is imperative that I know.
I agree. Okay. You can lose quite a bit of blood without experiencing any side effects or complications. The exact amount depends on your size, age, and general health. It helps to think of loss in percentages instead of total amounts. Adult men on average have more blood than most adult women. This means I'm sure women have 70%, right? 70 to the 70 cents on the dollar, 70% blood. This means they can typically lose a little more before experiencing adverse effects. Children, on the other hand, have much less blood than adults, so even small blood losses could affect a child negatively. Typical causes of blood loss. Giving a blood sample for testing at the doctor's office, menstruation, or nosebleed won't usually cause complications, but sustaining an injury or undergoing surgery may cause severe bleeding and require a red blood cell transfusion. Okay. Most adults can lose up to 14% of their blood. That seems like a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, I wonder how many tablespoons that is.
You know what you need is one of those conversion charts that like you keep in your wallet when you're getting old. Like how to calculate tips.
It's made out of plastic.
Yeah, you get laminated.
Yes, I have a laminator because I'm 72.
My mom has everything in a plastic sleeve.
Yes,
that she's somehow and then loses everything anyway. So I don't know. So
parents.
I know, and then you get the percentage of blood to tablespoon conversion.
Yeah, I only think in tablespoons.
Yeah, because you're such a cook.
That's me.
You can lose 14% of their blood without experiencing any major side effects or changes in vital signs. Some, however, may feel lightheaded or dizzy if this amount is lost quickly.
I think both of us would pass out.
Oh my God.
Could you imagine?
Garen would pass out just at us bleeding.
He's almost about to pass out just hearing this episode.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I'm sorry. I should have warned you.
I just can't see it. If I see it.
Well, I have visual aids today.
Yeah, she's gonna
go.
she's gonna slice open my arm.
Immersion therapy.
Remember like on Oprah or something when they wheeled out like a wheelbarrow full of fat or something?
Here comes the blood.
I got a blood. I'm just gonna it's in a Ziploc. I'm just gonna open it.
A bag of blood.
Yellow and blue make red.
All right.
Okay. How much blood can you lose before you begin to experience mild side effects? You'll start to feel mild side effects such as nausea when blood loss reaches 15 to 30% of total blood volume. This amount of loss increases your heart and respiratory rates. Your urine output and blood pressure will be decreased.
Oh,
so that's a good thing.
You would
so much.
Maybe you should bloodlet a little bit in the mornings.
I should bloodlet for less urine.
Yeah,
that's a really good
every
idea.
morning. Do a little bloodletting.
Yeah.
Invest in some leeches, maybe.
Oh, these are all good ideas.
Thank you.
You may feel anxious or uneasy. Your body starts to compensate for blood loss by constricting the blood vessels in your limbs and extremities. This is your body's attempt to maintain your blood pressure and blood flow. This subsequently lowers the amount of blood your heart pumps outside the center of your body. Your skin may become cooler and pale.
Like a vampire.
I don't think I can afford to become more pale.
You already have such translucent skin.
I really don't. I don't know why I said that. I'm not one of those ivory, what do you call them? Cream. I was going to say cookies and cream, but that's peaches and cream complexion. I do have a cookies and cream
Your
complexion.
pale skin, it's so cookies and cream.
I do,
you know
because like
that.
black things will just appear on my melasma. It's more like a cookies and cream. It's more like cookie dough. All right. How much blood loss can occur before you pass out?
Ooh.
When blood loss nears 30 to 40% of blood.
Like almost half.
I know.
I feel like that feels like way too much.
You would be so skinny. Your body will have a traumatic reaction. Your blood pressure will drop down even further and your heart rate will further increase. You may show signs of obvious confusion or disorientation. Your breathing will be more rapid and shallow. Plus, you'll be slipping all over that blood.
Yeah.
As the volume loss climbs, your body may not be able to maintain circulation and adequate blood pressure. At this point, you may pass out.
I'd say.
Yeah. You'll need help quickly to prevent additional blood loss and greater side effects. How much blood loss can occur before you go into hemorrhagic shock?
Ooh.
Hemorrhagic or hypovolemic. Hypovolemic shock occurs when you've lost 20% or more of your total blood volume. Your symptoms will become more severe as the blood loss increases. You may experience rapid breathing, weakness or fatigue, confusion, cool pale skin, sweat moist skin, anxiety or unease, low urine output, drowsiness.
I'm glad I'm not also going to be peeing my pants. Like when I'm bleeding.
I know,
'cause
that would
it's
be
like,
gilding the lily, right?
Yeah, it's like I've got enough going on right now.
Right. And how many, old towels do you have at your house?
Surprisingly a lot.
A lot.
I feel like our towels become old very fast because for some reason we buy white towels, and when you have little kids and white
Not a
towels,
good idea.
Not a good
Or if you
mix.
wear mascara, it's not a good idea.
Also that.
Your body can't compensate for much longer on its own in a blood volume loss over 40%. At this stage, your heart can't properly maintain blood pressure, pumping, or circulation. Your organs may begin to fail without blood and fluid. You'll likely pass out and slip into a coma.
Oh, to protect you.
Yeah.
Because
So have someone record all those.
symptoms.
Well, I was going to say Real Housewives episodes, so that when you get out of the coma, you'll have something to watch. Or maybe they can play it in the background and that'll wake you up. How much blood loss can occur before you die? Without treatment measures, your body will completely lose its ability to pump blood and maintain oxygen delivery once you've lost 50% of your blood volume.
Okay.
Your heart will go on.
Oh, that's what inspired that song.
That's right. Your heart will stop pumping. Other organs will shut down and you'll likely be in a coma. Death is likely if aggressive life-saving measures haven't been taken. Is there a point where a transfusion won't have an effect? Volume blood loss greater than 40% may be difficult for doctors to correct with a transfusion, so you might be shit out of luck.
Volume blood loss greater than 40.
Yes.
So
you have to hit the sweet spot
Okay.
of needing a transfusion, and the transfusion won't do any good.
oh man.
This is especially true if the bleeding's poorly controlled. You're just, Dan Aykroyd in that SNL sketch when he was Julia Child. There's just blood going everywhere.
You've been stabbied everywhere.
Your doctor will take several factors into account. I'm going to work on a Rowan and Martin reference for next time. I wasn't old enough. Or maybe your show of shows.
Jack Parr. Is that that's in there, right?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't sketch. It was The Tonight Show. But yeah.
there might have been a sketch on there.
There might have been something.
where somebody got stabbed all
He
over.
may have had his own Teresa Ganzel. Do you know who Teresa Ganzel is? No. Do you, Garen?
No.
She was, you would know her if you recognize her.
She talks like this. She has a really high voice.
That's not a good impression, but she was on game shows.
It's okay. Nobody knows who it is.
But it was perfect.
She was perfect. She was on all those game shows in the 80s, but she was in all of the Carson sketches. When he
okay.
would do sketches, she was
Yeah.
the dumb blonde.
Got it.
And she actually seems delightful. But in any case, if you Googled her, I bet you would recognize her. I mean, she was an actress. But anyway, where am I? Your doctor will take several factors into account when deciding if a transfusion is right for you. This includes your additional injuries, the rate of blood loss, the site of blood loss, and your overall health. I am going to tell you about childbirth because that's going to come into our story. The average person loses 500 milliliters of blood during vaginal childbirth. That's just half a quart. Still sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it does.
That's like half of your milk carton, right? Oh, half of a skinny milk carton.
I know. I remember after giving birth and they wheel you to this other room that looks kind of like a closet. They might have put me in a closet.
Yeah.
And the nurse came over and I was like, I'm really sorry, but I think I peed all over the bed and I'm just lying in it. And she goes, no, that's blood. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay. Will we still change the sheet? Like,
They didn't wrap you, they didn't give you a diaper?
I don't even know. It was just like they just kind of left me.
Oh, but when you go home, they give you it.
Oh yeah,
Diaper.
I was
Yeah.
in big diapers for
Yeah.
a while.
That's just half a quart. Those who have a cesarean delivery typically lose 1,000 milliliters.
Ooh.
You may lose more if complications arise, but your doctor and delivery team are usually can usually manage the bleeding. Okay. Okay, the bottom line, your body can handle blood loss, but how it happens and how much you lose determines a lot about the outcome. In some cases, blood loss can happen all at once. It isn't unusual to lose significant amounts of blood as the result of an injury or accident. Or if you're stabbed.
Or a murder attempt.
A murder, if you're gunned.
Yes.
If you're gunned down.
Somebody tries to cut your head off
Oh my God.
with like a machete.
that would be so much blood.
Right?
It can also happen slowly over a long period of time, which can make recognizing the symptoms trickier. If you suspect you have a slow internal bleed, see your doctor. If you put the dipstick
Yes.
in and it comes out low of blood,
Yeah, like how
I don't know.
do you determine that?
I think if you're anemic, right?
Yeah,
If you're
yeah.
pale and wan, they can assess your symptoms and diagnose any underlying condition. If you're losing a lot of blood rapidly, seek out emergency medical care. Blood loss is measured visually or by... Okay, so I kept trying to figure out how they measure blood loss.
Yeah.
And I read a couple of articles, but they were all very smart people-y, and I couldn't really figure it out. But
Academic journals.
yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
But basically, it's either visually, they can, if they're professionals, they can sort of assess by looking, assuming you're bleeding in front of them. And then they also can measure it. But there is some controversy, not controversy, but debate about what's the best way to measure it. Okay. Are you ready for a story?
I love a good story.
Okay. 8 days after, and that's why I've been talking about the pregnancy thing. I did think I was going to be talking more about, being knifed and
Yes.
and gunned, but most of the stories about blood loss had to do with pregnancy,
Dangerous
giving
business.
birth, and actually probably a lot more relatable. So
Yes.
I went with this one. 8 days after giving birth, Ashley Burns nearly died from postpartum hemorrhage, which is called PPH, excessive blood loss that can occur within 24 hours to 12 weeks
Wow.
after delivery. I know.
Wow.
Okay. PPH is the leading cause of maternal death worldwide. You know, I never really thought about it. Like obviously there are high morbidity rates in birthing mothers
Yes.
in other, but I didn't know why.
Yeah.
I guess this is
It's high here.
Most-
Actually here.
yeah.
Yes.
Most cases of PPH occur when, after delivery of the placenta, the uterus fails to contract enough to compress the bleeding blood vessels where the placenta was attached. So
Okay.
you basically unleashed a faucet of blood
Yes.
and you didn't put the cap back on.
Oh my
Poor
gosh.
Garen.
He's like, why did I agree to this?
This leads
Let's get that cap on those faucets, guys.
That's what a doctor should say.
righty-tighty. This leads to uncontrolled bleeding, decreased blood pressure, and increased heart rate. Though PPH affects 3 to 5% of new mothers, not all hospitals have specific team-based procedures in place for managing obstetric hemorrhages. PPH causes approximately 8% of maternal deaths in developed countries such as the US. Some providers are not specifically trained in treating PPH and do not see cases of it often. These process and educational gaps trickle down to the patients, leaving many women in the dark about the risks they might face when they go home. I mean, I certainly don't remember hearing anything about this before I gave birth. Maybe it was, or maybe they just don't want to worry you,
Yeah,
but I don't
yeah.
remember.
So here is the risk that you might bleed out.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
I guess they're not going to tell you that, especially if there's not like, here's an exercise you can do to prevent it.
That's true.
It's like,
Right.
it might just happen. So just, maybe
Yeah.
get your affairs in order.
Think of baby names and get your affairs in order.
And also maybe who you might want your husband to marry.
yeah,
And that
Yeah,
would be a good
get that,
mom
right.
to a newborn.
that's right.
I feel like that if there's a pregnancy on a medical show, then that's happening.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
yeah.
sure this has happened on every medical show.
It happens
Absolutely.
every third Grey's Anatomy.
Yes. Okay. Ashley's story of postpartum hemorrhage. So this is in her voice. My
Okay.
son Carter was born July 18th, 2017. The pregnancy was fairly easy. I was healthy, though I was classified as a high-risk pregnancy because of a few existing medical conditions. Other than a few fainting episodes, which turned out to be important later, everything was normal. On delivery day, I was induced at 9:30 a.m. I had an epidural at 10:05 a.m., thank goodness for those. And Carter arrived at 7:47 p.m. I remember telling my husband, Brian, having a baby was easy compared to how it looks on TV. I could totally do this again. I can't believe anyone has ever uttered those words, but little did I know I wouldn't get the chance. After the delivery, the nurses checked on me regularly and pushed on my stomach to release blood from my uterus. Do you remember this?
No, my doctor pushed on my stomach to try to get Benjamin out
Oh,
really hard.
he was in there cooking something up in the
He
kitchen.
was like, I'm really little. I don't want to come out.
Yeah,
But he needed to.
yeah.
So that hurt. But not after.
Yeah, I don't remember that. Maybe they could see there was a problem. That's why they were doing it. On the last day, the nurse didn't push as much. I didn't think much about it. I trusted they knew what was best, and I was focused on my new baby. We went home when Carter was 3 days old. I was still bleeding, which is supposed to happen. Typical blood loss. Again, for a vaginal delivery is 500 milliliters. For cesarean section, it's 1,000 milliliters. The hospital at which I delivered didn't give me that context. And honestly, it would be difficult to measure blood loss at home. In other words, I didn't know I was losing too much blood. 5 days later, on my wedding anniversary, I started to feel off. I'll never forget that day. I lost my appetite, and I had an unshakable feeling that something bad was about to happen. While watching Brian and our dog out in the yard, a surge of anxiety swept over me. I'm going to die. Something is
God.
wrong with me.
How awful.
I know. The awful sensation didn't subside by evening, and Brian took me to an emergency room near our house, not the hospital at which I delivered. We sat in the ER for 8 grueling hours. Though I told the doctor I'd recently given birth, he didn't do a pelvic exam. Instead, he suggested I was an overwhelmed new mother and sent me home. I mean, you hear about this shit, and it's just infuriating.
God.
The whole experience was frustrating, especially because I used to work in a children's emergency room. I decided to get a second opinion. I went to my OB/GYN the next day, but my regular doctor was out. The on-call doctor examined and said she didn't find anything wrong. Then she asked if I was bleeding enough. As if I was supposed to know. Like, it's your first
Yeah.
baby. What are you talking? Even if it was your 8th baby, what do you mean, am I bleeding enough?
Often I think people in the medical profession are so it's like inside baseball for them that they forget
That we don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah. They're just like, everyone knows these things. And it's like, no, we
Yeah.
don't know a lot of the things
Right.
that you know.
And maybe they don't know either.
Maybe.
Which is why they're asking stuff like, are you bleeding enough?
Yeah.
How many tablespoons am I supposed to bleed?
Right.
Yes.
How many per deciliter?
Thank you. Put it in tablespoons.
This get out your tablespoons and
then
measure
I can
the
get
bleed.
out my little plastic chart that I keep in my wallet.
This doctor also said it was probably just my emotions.
God, women get so
I know.
gaslighted in the fucking medical profession.
She suggested I come back and see my regular doctor the following week. At that point, I began to question myself. 2 doctors had told me nothing was wrong. Maybe I'm just tired. Maybe I'm losing it. The next night, after another unsuccessful attempt at making myself eat, I tried to relax. I don't know if she was breastfeeding, but like when you're breastfeeding, you're starving.
Yes.
So if she wasn't, I mean, that's especially strange if she has no appetite.
Yeah.
I tried to relax and watch a movie with my mom. Suddenly, I felt a massive gush between my legs. I rushed to the bathroom and discovered a blood clot the size of a pineapple in my pants.
Holy cow.
I know, this is very visual, I'm sorry. Shock set in as I called for my mom. When she saw the aftermath, the color drained from her face. Wide-eyed, I mumbled, "What do I do?" We called my OB/GYN's office. It was after hours, so a nurse answered. We frantically explained what was wrong, and she told me to call back in 30 minutes if the bleeding didn't stop. I said, absolutely not. Call the doctor now and call me back. Good for her. The nurse didn't realize how bad the situation was. Apparently, neither did the on-call doctor.
You're like, it's a pineapple.
Right. Who suggested I'd lie down for a while and see if the blood loss would slow down. If it didn't, he said call 911. Brian had been at the gym and he got home within an hour. I was still bleeding. He hopped in the shower quickly, and the last thing I remember was getting up to use the toilet. When Brian got out of the shower, he found me passed out on the floor, surrounded by enough blood to fill an IV bag. After a moment, I came to him, looked at him, and stammered, "Call 911." When I woke up, 8 emergency responders surrounded me. They packed me with massive diapers and loaded me into an ambulance. They gave me a drug that can stop bleeding when people are shot. It didn't work. My blood pressure was dropping. "I need you to talk to me, Ashley," one responder said. "I can't have you fall asleep." Blood rushed from my body as they transferred me into the ER. A trauma doctor was the first one to say the words postpartum hemorrhage. Then he said, "This happened to my wife. She was okay, and you will be too." I remember thinking, no, I am not okay. He had good intentions, but he seemed too casual while I was bleeding out in front of him. They rushed me into the trauma room where nurses surrounded me, giving me a blood transfusion and hooking me up to monitors. The attending OBGYN looked exhausted. She did a vaginal ultrasound, verified I was hemorrhaging, and repeated that I would be fine. Once I was somewhat stable, they moved me into the intensive care unit. I spent the night gushing blood. No one seemed to grasp the seriousness of the situation. By the next morning, they had given me 19 bags of blood.
Wow.
4 bags of plasma and 4 bags of platelets. I'm going to pretend I know what the difference is between all those things. I don't.
They're all good.
They're all bloody, right?
Yeah, they're all part of blood.
Listen to this. My blood type is O negative, and the hospital supply was running low, so they were giving me different combinations of blood.
What? You can't do that?
What threw off my body chemistry?
Yeah,
it was a wreck. I mean, you're supposed to know your blood type for a reason. I don't know my blood type, but
I don't know mine either, but I hope somebody does.
they can just do a quick, test to figure out your blood type, right?
Yeah, I think.
If you don't know it offhand.
We should probably know.
We should probably know.
Let's find out.
When the OBGYN came back around, maybe she went to the set of a doctor show, and this is all they could do because they sound so fucking incompetent.
This might be Meredith Grey.
This might be Meredith Grey, right?
And McSteamy.
Yeah.
We should check.
Meredith would not make that type of mistake.
You're right.
No, but the actors, I'm saying they went to the
interns would.
set. And this is the actors just doing the best they could.
Yeah, she's on a set right now.
That British kid who's autistic, or
she's at Warner Brothers.
She's at, yeah.
We're going to check. Actually, we're going to reach out.
When the OBGYN came back around, she was shocked at my condition.
Really? She's shocked?
I know. She stood in the hall talking with Brian and my mom, who were both crying. Before they even came in, I had a gut feeling that hysterectomy was the only option to save my life. The OBGYN came to my bedside nervous and teary, which is, I don't think, how you want your OBGYN to be behaving.
No, not unless they just lost a dog or something. And they have to come into work.
Literally just that. When she started to speak, I cut her off. "Just do it. Give me the papers. I'm not even going to talk to my husband about this." Then I told her to be calm. She's telling the doctor to calm
Ashley.
the fuck down. I know. "You can't operate on me if you're nervous," she said.
Wow.
I had a hysterectomy shortly thereafter. When I woke up, what?
I'm just wondering why a hysterectomy. How does that? Because that's what the bleeding is coming from.
I can't say I understand it enough to know.
I guess it's because that's where the bleeding is coming from, and so if they take it out, it stops.
I guess.
The bleeding.
I don't know.
God, I'm so mad on her behalf.
I know.
And there's no time to harvest anything at that point. I guess there's nothing to
harvest,
like
an alien,
like a new
don't they
uterus.
Harvest the eggs. Like her eggs.
Oh, to get her eggs. Yeah, but if she doesn't have oh, you mean because she could
Before
use those
she-
for
yeah,
they
to
take
freeze.
everything out. But I don't know if they would even.
That's
she would
actually a
even-
really good question.
That's a good point, Garen, because she could still have a surrogate
Yeah.
for the
carry them.
But is there time? To
No, there's
even-
probably not time to save it. She'd have to be
I
ovulating.
think she was probably. Well, that's.
That-
right.
To get the eggs.
She just had a kid, so that probably wouldn't even.
Oh, that's
because
good
you
point.
have a period. Like you have to be.
You guys, these are all good points.
Guys, we're basically asking the important questions, and this is a science podcast.
I had this is a science podcast. That can be a shirt too. I had the hysterectomy shortly thereafter. When I woke up, I learned the massive blood loss had damaged my kidneys, and I would need to go on dialysis.
Oh my God.
I know. My heart also was not functioning well. I stayed in ICU for 2 weeks. Can you imagine? You just have a brand new baby
Yes.
at home and you can't even see them.
I want to go protest somewhere right now. I'm so mad.
I
for
know.
Ashley.
My kidneys recovered after more than 2 weeks of dialysis, and I did more than 2 months of physical therapy to regain my strength. I was also diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder from the ordeal.
No wonder.
However, there was a silver lining. The trauma that almost killed me might have saved my life. Remember the early pregnancy fainting I mentioned? It turns out I had an underlying heart condition that wasn't related to the hemorrhage, and I had to get a pacemaker. My cardiologist said if I had been able to conceive again, my heart likely would have failed during a second pregnancy.
Oh, wow.
So
Something good, I guess,
it saved your
came out
life
of
because
it.
you couldn't get pregnant again.
Yeah.
But it's so sad. But I thought that was an interesting story because I guess I just didn't understand when people said they died in childbirth.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems so...
It's so dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm so infuriated because it's another example of someone really desperately trying to advocate for themselves.
Yeah, she's not a dummy.
And being dismissed
right.
over and over again.
Right.
And we see this a lot.
I know.
mean, or we read about it a lot or hear about it a lot. I know a lot of people who've experienced this. It's just the medical community needs to start to take people seriously.
All right. Well, speaking of that, I got to pee. So we'll be right back with our guest.
Welcome back to How to Survive with Danielle and Christine. Danielle.
Christine.
I trust you enjoyed your break.
I did. I, as promised, peed. I don't want the listener to think I'm not delivering on my promises.
Well, Danielle, we love to hear about your bathroom breaks.
Thank you.
We love to hear about your life.
Thank you. One and the same.
Why don't you introduce our guest?
Well, okay. So in the first half of the show, we talked about how to survive blood loss. And now we're going to talk about how to survive losing your place at school with Dave Holmes, none other.
Hey, hi.
so excited to have Dave here.
Thank
It's a
you
little
so much
mini
for having me.
reunion.
You,
It is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Feels good.
Chris and Dave worked on a show together.
Many moons ago.
I have the last script that I ever had to read for that
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Framed on my office door.
Yeah.
Matted and framed, and it's like, this is whatever I don't even know what movie it was, like Big Daddy or something. And like brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. Just like all the dumb shit that I had to read for
Yeah.
like, whatever.
Yeah.
This is the kind of thing people were tearing their hair out for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For ages.
Well, Dave has.
Anyway, it's good to see you on the other side.
Yes.
Dave has
you as
leaped
well.
forward since then. You may know him from several things. One, his fantastic writing. He's an editor at large for Esquire and often writes hilarious essays about pop culture and things of that nature.
Thank you.
He's the host of 3 podcasts.
Yes.
Troubled Waters, which we've been on.
That's right.
It's a really
Super
fun
show.
Really fun show.
Homophilia,
on it.
which we have no right to be on.
No.
And Waiting for Impact, which is...
Yes, that was a 10-episode
Yes.
Investigative podcast. All episodes are out now.
Such a
exactly right.
perfect podcast
It was-
for me because
Yes.
it's that sweet spot of a time I remember so fondly
Oh, good.
and obsess over because it's my childhood.
Good.
So, and I highly recommend listening to it. It's fascinating. Also, Troubled Waters is hilarious, and you should listen to that. I'm sorry I have not listened to Homophilia, but there's only so much Dave I haven't
Only so many
room in
hours
my
a
life
day.
for.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
because of your musical knowledge,
Yes.
this is what I want to talk to you about very quickly before
Yes.
we go into. I don't know what I'm looking for from you. Maybe an exorcism of some sort.
Okay.
For the last week,
Yeah.
I have had in my head the song by Daniel Bedingfield, Just Gotta Get Through This. Okay.
I gotta get through
Through
this.
this. I gotta make it through. Don't
Say I gotta get through this. Gotta get through that.
Yeah. So what can't he get? What does he have to get through? I don't
This.
understand. Right. But
This.
is
What's
it?
what
But
lay
is it?
before us
Is
on the
it?
table.
Is it the same thing that Meatloaf can't do?
Yeah.
Is there a crossover?
There might be.
Yeah.
Now, Meatloaf makes it very clear what he will not do.
He
You just have to
does?
listen to the verses.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is
He's
it?
like,
What
I would
won't
do
he-
this and I would do this, but like...
I won't do that.
Like, forget about,
Is it
Anal.
cunnilingus?
something
Is that
I
what
won't
it
do
is?
that.
Anal.
No, it's like... It's
not
not
anal?
anal. No.
It's not. What
I
is
guess
it?
I gotta
It's
listen to the
like,
lyrics.
yeah. It's... Well, we all have computers in our pockets.
It's okay.
Yeah, but if you listen to the verses,
Okay.
it's
Okay.
very clear.
But I've listened to this in my head. This Daniel Bedingfield song is on a nonstop rotation.
This is totally
right? Anyway, I don't
they
know if the
started-
song is going to get out of my head now, but I thought maybe talking to you
might
about
be.
it would help.
Often sharing it with another person.
Yeah.
is-
Yeah.
It's like a horror movie curse. Like
Right.
you are free, but now it's on
Right.
me until
You've
I shrug it
afflicted
off
him.
on someone else.
So you are.
It Follows kind of a thing. I've never seen that movie, but that's what I assume.
He references it on a daily basis. Garen
Really?
references it constantly. I've never seen it because I don't like scary movies.
I don't either.
It's great.
I don't like
bit.
it. I don't like it.
Not one bit. No thanks.
So you are a very smart person,
I am not.
but you're not. You just wear it. What you just like fake it.
I think I know words and can put them
sure about
together
that?
in a way. Even that I can't always count on. But I think I can arrange them in a way that makes me look smart. But a dog could beat me at chess.
I think that is
Believe me.
about being smart. I think that's what makes a person smart.
Yeah, it's arranging. She's right.
Maybe, or maybe it's what like convinces other people or something. But
Yeah.
no, I'm.
But you've had an interesting situation with the educational system. Is that what I'm to understand?
Sure have.
Okay, so walk us through it.
My my this that I had to get through. and
Yes.
survive, was in the year 1990. I got thrown out of college.
What?
Wow.
The end of my
seems
freshman year.
really hard to believe.
It's true.
So what
it's
was it?
It was. It was me being an idiot
Okay.
first and foremost, but it was also just. I was okay. So I went to a place called Holy Cross in Massachusetts. Right?
Okay.
Worcester, Massachusetts. I came from St. Louis to Massachusetts, and the most thought that I put into what college I wanted to go to was like the campus prettiness level.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And
How
I
does the
saw-
catalog look?
Oh yeah, actually, you know what? I didn't even. It was a place that like the college counselor at my high school recommended for me, and I didn't like the name. It seemed,
Okay. I was
seemed a
gonna
little
say-
austere. It seemed
Yeah.
a little, you know.
Well, it seems a little Catholic, no?
Well, it's very Catholic.
Okay.
I'm very Catholic.
Oh, you
Or
are
was.
Catholic, okay.
I was raised very Catholic.
All right.
And so we were visiting Boston College, my dad and I, and we had like, you know, I saw it and I was dead set on going to Boston College. And we took a tour of the campus, and the student who gave the tour was like, "All right, dorms, and I hate them, and like this is a dumb class over here, and whatever." And had like very little energy, and seemed to hate the place.
You're like, you're not selling the place.
Not at all, not at all. And it was like sort of, you know, it was city adjacent in a way that kind of I guess scared me at the time, or whatever. And so my dad was like, you know, Holy Cross is half an hour away. Let's hop in the car and go see it. And I was like,
Oh.
and I saw it and I was like, oh, this is it. This is beautiful. It was like
okay.
a gorgeous October day, and everyone was in, you know,
Sweaters.
a J. Crew barn jacket. and
She's
like,
wearing J. Crew
friendly,
today.
Yeah.
and it's honestly they have a new creative direction.
Yeah.
At least the men's side does. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm getting very much back into J. Crew.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. But yeah, I just in very superficial ways, I was like, this is where I belong.
This is
Yes.
what you picture when you picture college.
exactly
Right.
Exactly.
Crunchy leaves.
Crunchy leaves.
And had you
And friendly
applied?
people and happy people. I had not applied. So I
Okay.
applied very quickly. I got into BC. I got waitlisted at Holy Cross.
Okay.
Okay.
And I was like, well, now I have to go there. They don't want me, so like I have to go there, right?
Right.
So yeah, so I moved heaven and earth and like, you know, wrote a bunch of letters and got a bunch of references and whatever, and I was just like, this is it, I'm going.
Okay.
And I got in. And I went, and it was a very homogeneous, very, you know, like the worst parts of being very conservative and also very kind of liberal, where it was like on the surface very accepting, but also like everybody dressed and looked exactly like everybody knew everybody's business, and so I got there, and I immediately was like, oh, this might be the wrong choice for me.
Immediately you felt that way?
Immediately I felt that way.
Because everyone seems like automatrons or something?
No, I mean, no, they were. It was partially that it drew heavily from New England, where people kind of relate to one another in a very different way than they do in the West. They're meaner, you know.
Oh, okay.
Which is not bad, but I just didn't. I didn't.
It was a different language.
It threw me off a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, there's like a sarcasm that sort of like underpins everything.
You don't find it in St. Louis.
That you don't find in St. Louis.
Okay.
No. So I was like, I don't know. I was it threw me off, and I felt like socially thrown off for the first time ever in my life.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah. So also there were no gay people, right?
Oh.
And I like already knew that I was gay and
Right.
that college would be like my coming out time.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think what I must have thought was that like I would just like the other secret gay person there who was this beautiful J. Crew boy.
Yeah.
Like we would find each other and we would be there for each other. And that would be, then everything would be fine.
Yeah.
You know?
But you didn't think, and look, I'm neither Catholic nor gay, but you didn't think like, maybe going to a Catholic college is not the best.
Yeah, no, I really
Place
did not
to
think
come
that
out? Okay.
through.
All right.
I really, honestly, I had this conversation with Gabe Delahaye.
No, nice name though.
Oh my God, he's the best. He's a comedy writer guy. But we got into this a few years ago, and I was like, I don't understand my decision to like voluntarily go to a Catholic college.
Yeah.
Right.
And he was like, you were trying to be a good boy. I was like, oh, well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So that was weird. I, had gone to a very small high school where I was kind of able to do well enough. But like once I was on my own, I was just a disaster. I have raging ADHD, which I have addressed in adulthood, but at the time we didn't really, have the language for it. So anyway, it was like a confluence of a lot of bad stuff. So that resulted in me being super sad and like never going to class and like just furiously trying to become what I thought I was like supposed to be.
Okay.
That was pieced together from like my understanding of what my parents wanted and from like every shitty college movie. And whatever. I just like worked so hard at constructing this personality that was
Where's
not
that
me.
beer bong that I've heard so much about?
Yes.
Right.
And it was a disaster. And I knew it wasn't going to go well, but I couldn't pull myself out of the skid.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I got terrible grades my first semester. And then it got worse in my second semester, and then we broke for the summer or whatever we call it, and I was home for about a week, and I went to the mailbox, and there was a slip that was like certified mail.
Oh no!
From the zip code of my college, and I was like, oh,
you knew?
No. I knew.
So before, just back in 1 second, before you got the slip, did it occur to you, I'm going to get kicked out of college? Do I care?
I didn't think it was going to go well. I knew my finals had gone very badly.
Oh, that's why they didn't tell you ahead of time, because they hadn't graded your finals yet. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So, I didn't, I never went to class. So it was bad. It was bad. First semester, I took a class just literally called logic, and I failed it. It should have been
Should a guy on the verge of coming out to society go to a Catholic college?
Yes.
You failed it.
No
logic. No logic.
Zero logic. But yeah, so I knew, and I went to the post office and I picked it up, and it was a 1-year suspension.
Oh,
is what it was.
Okay.
And like I could, work and get my grades up and go back.
Like at a public
like
college,
community college.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which I did that summer. Well, okay, yeah. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah.
I then had to
tell my parents,
Yeah.
which was awful.
Oh,
truly awful.
Did they know
so
your
bad.
grades were bad?
They suspected, I think, that my grades were bad, but I don't think they knew how bad. And yeah. And it was it was one of those things that immediately, I think for my mom, the first thing was like, what are we going to tell people? Because like everyone else is going to be going back to school, in the fall, and you're not. So like the idea of like people knowing that I had fucked up in a colossal way was like really hard. So yeah, anyway, I went to like a community college and I took some like summer classes. I literally took a class in like how to read, like how to study and take notes and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I was like, this isn't really the problem.
You just didn't do it. Something you didn't know how.
Yeah, I didn't know how to do it. I just didn't. Yeah,
Were you just depressed? Were you depressed?
I was depressed, and I should have been on medication,
right?
Or some sort of therapy or treatment or something,
right?
But which I just didn't. That is not a thing that occurred to me until the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So I did that. Then in the when the school year came back around. Washington University was like 20 minutes away from my parents' place, and I enrolled in night classes there.
Okay.
And then I think there was like one day class that I could take or whatever. So I did that, and I was like sort of stealth like night student there.
Were you living at home?
I was living at home, but I like rushed a fraternity and got in, and so
A night school
pledged.
fraternity?
No, just it was regular. They just kind of didn't know that I was basically just a night student.
Oh, okay. All
didn't
right.
tell 'em.
I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
But it was at the college you were taking
It was
classes.
it was
Yeah.
at Washington.
Why did you just
Kept it
take
safe.
night classes?
Because like Washington U is a good school. And I for sure couldn't like flunk out of Holy Cross and then matriculate as a
gotcha.
day student at Wash U. But I could take night classes.
So you were in the
Yeah.
fraternity. That's
I was in the
hilarious.
fraternity,
But you
yeah.
didn't live at the frat house.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. And then it was like at the end of that year, I was like, well, I could go back to Holy Cross or I could stay at Washington U, which was a little more diverse.
Yeah.
And I had this fraternity that I really liked, and it was like, it felt much more welcoming. But then at the same time, I was like, I can't let them win. I have to go back. And finish it.
Interesting.
So I went back. And it continued to not be a very good choice.
Oh, no.
But I graduated.
Yes.
And here we are.
Wow.
And I, whatever. It's like doing it was like it. I reaped what I had sown. You know what I mean? Like I didn't put any effort into my academic life.
Right.
So it makes sense that they would throw me out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. This wasn't unjust.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. The challenge was like overcoming the shame
Yes.
of it
Yeah.
and like the incredible humiliation of it,
Yes.
especially at a very small school where everybody knew everybody's business, and it was very easy to get a reputation for being offbeat or whatever.
Listen,
Yeah.
I recently got demoted in my pickleball class, and I was
What?
in tears. So I understand how hard that must have been.
Pickleball class?
Okay, it's not a class. My son and I take pickleball.
Okay.
We started in the summer, and there's basically two sides. There's the first of all, I told Oliver, I'm like, you could, put this on your college applications as volunteering with the elderly because
Yeah.
I mean everyone's fucking old,
Right.
and he's 15. But
Right.
anyway, there's like the easier side and then the harder side. Well, my son's really good, so we're like, okay, let's just go to the other side. But this is going to be embarrassing because I don't belong there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all in your head, I say to myself, but knowing it's not. The guy comes up to me, Danielle. And I go, you don't want me on this side? And he goes, yeah. I got demoted. But the thing is, I was already feeling shitty because it's not fun to play if you're terrible, if you're not as good as the people you're playing.
Right.
And I literally was in tears.
Oh no.
So, because I was so embarrassed. So, I mean, I got over it, obviously, and
Yeah.
I still played, but I was so embarrassed. So I can imagine being kicked out of school, how
Yeah.
hard that must have been.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
if you brought it upon yourself.
Oh yeah. No, it was terrible.
And how did your parents take it?
Badly at first.
Because you're pretty close with
always.
your mom, right?
Yeah, both of them.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. They were angry,
yeah.
and oh God, both my brothers shamed me.
Are they older?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
they'd already maybe been through college. and-
Oh yeah, they're like 8 and 10 years older, so they were
Okay.
fully adults. Yeah, it was tough. I felt like it was just white hot embarrassment at all times. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because I just knew like how badly I had fucked up. But like again, and this is weird looking back. It is weird to me that the conversation was never like, was that the right place for you?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
It was just you fucked up.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you were like spiraling out of control, is there maybe a lesson?
Yeah.
Other
Is there
factors at
something
play.
Is
Yeah.
there something to
Is there
be
something
listened to?
going on
Yeah.
that we should all discuss? and
Exactly.
maybe you need some help. And
Yes.
But I think that this is also the kind of dialogues we have now that
Right.
didn't really.
Yeah.
No one had that language back then, or maybe your
I'm gonna
parents
tell you-
did.
No, they did not. And I will tell you that in my very Catholic area of St. Louis, Missouri, they still don't.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I talk a lot about being in therapy because I want to normalize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In as much as I am thought of as a normal person, but I like the idea of like demystifying. it
Yeah.
and, like,
Yeah.
Because honestly, still, like when I remind my mother that I see a therapist, it's like, like what?
She's
What's-
like, why?
what's
What
wrong?
could possibly be the reason?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And and it's like when you like go see your personal trainer, nobody's like, what? You okay?
Why would you do that?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you do that to get better,
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So yeah.
Wow.
Looking back, I do,
Are you glad that you went back and finished it, or do you wish you had
guess.
stayed at another college and sort of had a better experience?
I made it a good experience.
Oh, that's
I think,
good.
for myself.
But what about the ADHD? How did you work around that?
I didn't. I mean, I barely graduated.
Okay.
Like I did not make like a triumphant like return. I certainly
Right.
I didn't win most improved.
Right.
Anything. Not that that was an award that they gave out, but yeah, no, I barely graduated. But like, I made a point of like doing as many, like getting into Boston as much as I could, and like if I wasn't going to be able to date at school, I was just gonna like date
Right.
secretly boys
Right.
from other schools, and you
that
know, whatever.
worked.
It did work, and I figured out like. Yeah, I got more into theater and radio, and there was like this comedy group that it was like this secret ballot thing that like it's whatever. It's a thing that you get asked to do maybe if you're a senior, but you can't ask any of the people who are on it if you can be on it. Because
Okay.
if you do, then you can't.
Oh,
And so it's
wow.
this secret thing, and then you do it, and you choose the team for next year, and they get something in their PO the next school year. Anyway, so I got to do that, which was like I was writing sketches and directing
Yeah.
sketches, and I found a way to make it worth it.
Yeah.
I think.
Honestly, that is a triumph then.
I think so.
I think
Yeah.
it totally is.
Yeah.
Because you took a situation that was not ideal.
Right.
And you made your own out of it, which is what you should
Right.
do in college.
You should,
And life.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
life.
And life.
honestly.
Yeah.
Because that's really what most of life is.
Yes. Yeah.
Is giving you what you didn't really want. Like, it's not usually giving you your ideal situation.
Right.
And then
Right.
you figure out how to make it as best you can and as
Yeah.
closest to the ideal that you would hope to get.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe other people don't have it that way, but I think that's mostly
No,
what
I
life
think
is.
everyone does. Yeah.
And like I don't think I thought this at the time, but I look at my behavior then and in the years, my first few years as an adult, it was like, well, I can't be humiliated any worse.
That's
you know what I mean?
good.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I
Really
can't,
good.
like it was the worst thing to happen at the worst place where it could have happened.
Yeah.
And I survived it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I mean, I'm never going to feel that bad again.
That's
you know what I mean?
great.
I'm never like I can still when I think about it, I can still feel it in my face.
Yes.
Wow.
And it's like, well, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've had that feeling, and I got through to the other side of
Yes.
it, and it's like, okay.
Do you think that
I
gave you
feel-
some brave? I'm sorry,
No,
Danielle.
no, go on.
I just had this question then, if you think that as then a performer and a person who would take risks in performing and
Yeah.
in show business and going out for auditions, do you think that made you braver because you
Yes.
were like, who cares? What's the
Absolutely.
worst that can happen?
Absolutely. And it made me, you know, like the journey is like you can't see what I'm doing with my finger.
He's doing the up and down thing.
Yeah, we think
like
of
a
like
chart.
progress and growth and development as a human being is like a straight line.
Yeah.
and it really isn't. Like
No,
it's
no,
the,
no.
the trend
Yeah.
is ideally upward, but there's a lot of ups and downs in between.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
like I didn't learn my lesson all at once.
Right.
But it being in New York and then being in like a corporate environment that did not suit me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was my experience getting my ass thrown out of college that made me go like, I don't belong here.
Yeah.
I just don't belong
Yeah,
here.
right.
And it's up to me to say that.
Yes.
And I'm in a city where I can temp and actually make more money while I figure out where it is that I do
Yeah.
fit. And there's every industry in the world, and there's stuff where like the goofy shit that I'm obsessed with can be
Right. Which you made a career out of. Yeah.
Yes, I eventually did.
Yes.
I mean, I could not have seen that coming in a million years.
Yeah.
But like it allowed me to say like, before I get fired, because I could,
Right.
I'm gonna leave, and I'm gonna take some time and figure out what it is that I want to do. And if that upsets my parents, that's okay, because I've
Yeah.
upset my parents and they survived.
Yes.
And if it makes me look weird to my brothers and to the people I grew up with, and
Yeah.
the people I went to college with, well, I've already done that too. So I don't care. And that has been my superpower.
That is so
sure.
great.
It is good.
It is a really good superpower to have.
Yeah.
I think actually failure is really good for people.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I feel like I have a bottomless pit of humiliation left in me. I just feel like I can be. Yeah, the fucking pickleball thing happened 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't learn. I just get embarrassed every time or upset, sad. Mostly sad.
Well, that's natural.
Yeah,
That's
I
natural.
guess. But I'm saying I don't. I think you'd think I build some armor at this point, but not really. All right, I didn't mean to make it about me and my.
No.
Whilst you were talking, I remembered that we should also plug your book, Party of One,
Yes.
because it talks.
chapter.
There's a chapter in it about
Yeah.
your college, and it's so funny. It's such a good book. Everyone should get out and read it.
Thanks.
Get out and buy it and read it. Have you read it?
Yeah, I have it.
It's great.
I have not read it.
Oh, it's so good,
It's
Christine.
weird
Wow.
because I really like your writing a lot.
Yeah, it's great.
Available.
I'm gonna
in stores.
You know what we're
Yeah.
gonna do?
Amazon.
We're gonna
Or bookshop.org.
plug it on the podcast and the
Please
newsletter
do.
and all
Yeah.
those places that we promote stuff. And I'm gonna get a copy.
Please do.
I will.
You know what? And I actually wasn't even thinking about this when I said that this was going to be my topic. But last month, we went to a wedding in Boston, and Ben had never been to like a tailgate. Tailgating is really big at Holy Cross. Like we have a halfway decent
Okay.
football team, and so before the game, there's tailgate parties. And
All right.
whatever. And Ben had never seen the campus, and I was like, well, I'm going to see if there's a home game. It was actually homecoming. So, and it was a very short drive. So we got up that Saturday morning. I'd rented a car and we went out, and I got to see the campus again. And it's like, I still do have this weird emotional connection
Yes.
to it.
yeah.
Even though my relationship with the place is very strange. It was really good to be back. It felt really nice.
Yeah.
There's now like an LGBTQ alumni group.
Oh,
and,
nice.
and like a student group, but I did a Zoom event with the student group, and it was like
They're
two
in a
girls from the
bunker.
field hockey team, like all of the RAs who like had to be at the Zoom event.
Make sure nothing
Yeah.
sinister's going on.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, it's still like the,
Two girls from the
some things will never change.
Sure.
But or maybe they will, but they probably won't. It's leaps and bounds ahead of where it was in that way. Like I've figured myself out, and it was just it was like seeing an ex who and like getting a sense of just like hey, it's good to see you,
Right.
And then I may never see you again,
Right.
But it was nice, and like reconnecting with some old friends, some of whom have stayed that very preppy, Vineyard Vines type of person.
Yeah.
And then then I ended up having dinner with out here with an old, like somebody who's barely friends with, who's sort of in my wider circle, and he and I, as I have done with a few other people from that place, like we talked about like how much of a disservice we did ourselves, not by going there necessarily, but by buying into the whole thing of like acting like everything's cool and like and trying to fit in and not not standing out and like not being who we were, because we missed an opportunity to get to know one another and to like help one another develop and whatever, and several people have turned into really interesting people who I didn't know them to be at the time.
Yeah.
And, it's
I think you also have to give yourself a little break, because when you're 18, you're still a child, and now I'm going to sound like an old fogey, but that's okay. Now it's very cool to be whoever you are and explore and like be the freak, and that wasn't always the case. And I went to an arts high school, so it was kind of like that, but in a Catholic college or even in St. Louis, like it's easier said than done at certain times of in history, and you got to give yourself a little break.
Oh,
you don't know what to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I forgive myself for not, having self-knowledge at 18.
Right.
Because I think even now people don't.
Right, they pretend they do, but
they have better.
They're more bold about it.
They have better language for it.
Yes,
and,
right.
But no, you're still knocking on a lot of doors when you're 18.
Dave, thank you so. We've been wanting to have you on since we first started the podcast, so I'm so excited
glad.
we finally got you on.
Did it?
What a great
Thank
story.
you. Great story.
We love that you exist in our world.
Thank you.
And all the content you create is so good.
Heck,
and
thank
we just wish you all the continued success. So everyone seek out Dave Holmes if you haven't
there's
already.
so many ways to.
He's easy to find because he's all over the place, and he's just this talented, hilarious, and very handsome
Oh,
person.
Stop.
You can't see him right now, but every time I see him, he becomes better
I
looking,
know.
and I don't know what
kind
he's
of upsetting.
doing, but
The key is look like shit in your 20s.
Oh,
And it's just, then set the bar nice and low.
Okay.
Right,
And
right,
then
right,
you've got
right,
no
right.
choice but to clear it.
Yeah.
okay.
That's actually
I
a
did.
really good idea. I did that from like ages 7 to 22.
Okay.
I looked like shit, and then I blossomed a little bit.
Yeah, you get it.
Yeah.
You pull it together.
Yeah.
You dazzle the world.
I was one of those people. I grew into my looks, and now I'm growing out of them.
I strongly disagree.
I thought of that the other day, and I was like, I was going to tweet that, and then I was like, then I'm going to get a lot of people like not getting that I'm joking,
Like
and
I just did.
well, I mean, I'm not joking. I mean it, but I mean, obviously, a lot of people like patting me on the back, like they're there,
Well,
and then it's going to look pathetic, and that's not what I intended.
I don't think they're patting you on the back. I think that we all just hate ourselves more than other people see
No, but
it.
but you know what I mean when you try to be funny on the internet and people are sincere back to you. And
Yes.
it's like, never mind. You just want to say never mind.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's sorry to like. I
That's
know,
okay.
But like, when I tell people that I got kicked out of college, almost always they're like, I can't believe that, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, how? Because you know what I mean? Like, I've gotten over the
Yeah.
shame and all
Yeah.
that, I think, but I must have some still in my head because I'm just like, to me, it's like, no, I'm absolutely the kind of person who threw out of
Right,
college.
right.
But I don't think I present that way anymore
You
because I've
don't.
found my
Correct.
way in the world
Right.
and
Yes.
whatever. But like, yeah, it's strange. And so I get that too.
Yeah.
And it's like, anyway, just take the compliment.
thanks. Well, we will thank you again for being here so much, and we will be right back with what did we learn today?
Ooh.
Lots.
Hey, Danielle,
Hey, Christine.
are you ready to learn what we learned today?
Yes.
Sai De Silva, Uba Hassan, Aaron Donna Litchi, Lizzie Savetsky, Jessel Tank, Jenna Lyons, and Bryn Whitfield are officially set to star in Real Housewives of New York, in case you know who any of them are.
Soon these are all going to be my friends.
Are you ready to make some cool new friends?
I am.
A person has about 338 tablespoons of blood.
Okay. Now, can I use applesauce?
Is a
Is half of-
replacement?
yes.
You know
In that
what?
recipe?
You can
Okay.
use applesauce. A transfusion might not help you if you lose more than 40% of your blood.
Yeah.
Teresa Ganzel played Greedy Gretchen on Three's Company, as well as appearing in shows like Mama's Family and films like The Toy, as well as many characters in various animated projects.
That all sounds on track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Signs of internal bleeding include pain at the injured site, swollen, tight abdomen, nausea and vomiting, pale, clammy, sweaty skin, breathlessness, extreme thirst, and unconsciousness. If you're unconscious, you might have blood loss.
Yeah. And you might not realize that you can't pee or your stomach is tight or that you're nauseated.
All this stuff might be, you might
so
be
you
unaware of
might
it.
might wish for unconsciousness.
Conventional tests to determine blood type take anywhere between 10 and 20 minutes.
Yeah, see, I figured it would be something quick. Oh, that's fast.
You know, they should have a drive-through.
Yeah.
Or like maybe where you get your oil changed, you could just get your blood type.
You know, that would be, or just like one of those at-home tests like for COVID. I wonder if you could just like spit on a stick and figure out what, well, I guess you'd have to poke your blood. Yeah.
You probably have to do a blood poke. Blood poke. Oh. The thing he won't do, Meatloaf said, is spelled out on the line before the chorus kicks in. In the lyrics above, for example, he's saying he would do anything for love, but he won't ever stop dreaming of you every night of his life.
But that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Why would loving you require that I stop dreaming about you? That doesn't make any sense.
It's, I would ask him, but he's dead.
That's like saying I would do anything for money except for,
Working.
no, I realize that doesn't make any sense. Except I would do anything for money except for not working.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so dumb.
Who wrote this song?
What's his face?
Did he write it?
No, it's
Jim Steinman.
Thank you, Jim Steinman.
I don't know who that is.
That's
He writes a lot of songs.
he wrote all of Meatloaf's songs.
Meatloaf didn't even write his own songs? That's so surprising. The narrator of Gotta Get Through This is deep in his feelings due to being separated from the woman he loves.
Oh, he's got to get through just being separated from her.
Do you think Jim Steinman wrote that as well?
No,
Okay.
I don't think there's no operatic.
Theme?
No, yeah, it's very straightforward.
I gotta say, We learned so much today on this
I know.
episode. I feel learned.
Maybe I did finish college
Maybe
just
you did.
today.
You know, you can have some of my years. It took me 7, so I could give you 3 years.
Because you were working 5 jobs, right?
Because I was working full time and going to night school, and I did not pledge with a sorority.
I think that's so funny that he fake pledged with, I mean, not fake, but like, sounds like a college
People
movie.
have so many interesting college stories. I love to hear them.
Well, if you do want to let us know about your stories, I was just recently asked on Twitter what is the best method to contact us.
Oh.
And there is a form on our website. That's one way you can contact us, right?
There's the form on our website. There's podcasthowtosurvive@gmail.com.
Yeah.
You can direct message us at podhowtosurvive on Twitter and Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many ways. I mean,
Don't you have to like be friends or something to direct message someone?
well, you've got to friend us, guys. You've got to follow us. I mean,
Right.
it's very easy to do. You just go to our page and you say follow,
Yeah.
like, subscribe to all our stuff. You know, if you go to our Instagram now, there's a link tree. You click on it, and it's got all these different
So
cool ways
impressive.
that
Christine
you can
has
support
been
us.
working her butt off doing all this.
I think I just got indoctrinated into the millennial cult.
Oh my God!
For
Congratulations!
my social media skills. Thank you.
Nice knowing you.
I'm sorry I'm not a Gen Xer anymore.
I know she can't bring me along with her. Oh
Well, you know, I'll make you learn some of these things, and then you'll come with me.
All right. Well, since you're leaving the Gen X cult, I will pour some Zima out on the sidewalk for you in remembrance.
Oh, that tasted bad.
I know, but I drank it.
Yeah.
I drank it. Spilled on my Doc Martens.
Well, you know, if they're still around, you can bring them back.
Oh, you mean the Doc Martens or
Yeah.
the Zima?
Yeah, both. Why not?
I got rid of the Doc Martens, but
you know where they are. Poshmark.
they probably are. Oh boy.
This episode is sponsored by Poshmark.
All right. Well, as always, remember, remain calm.